Well, hey everybody, it's Kevbo Jones here with another episode of the Wonderful World of Baseball Cards. Wanted to get back to a series that I'd been working on back in the fall, featuring my childhood baseball card vintage collection. These were cards that were given to me by the neighbor probably around 1987 or 1988. The neighbor that lived behind the street from us. And it was mostly 1968 through 1972 Topps cards. There were some of the Fleer World Series cards in there as well, and there were also the majority of the cards were 1970 and 1971. When I was going through these, I was so excited, and of course picked out all the players that names were even remotely familiar. Obviously, some of the big Hall of Famers who I knew, and it was so exciting. And this is kind of what's left. I'm going to feature 1970 through 1972 here, and just kind of show you everything. This is basically what's left. I had to sell a bunch of them back around 2007 as I was going through some personal struggles, and the grading card trend had just kind of started, and I assumed all these old vintage cards at this point in the condition that I thought they were in were worthless and nobody wanted them anymore. So a bunch of cards were parted with, but this is what's left, and let's just get to it. This is a 1970 Topps Carl Yastrzemski. This will always be part of my PC. As you can see, it's in an old card saver too. I just love this card. I think that's Yankee Stadium in the background too, which is a little interesting. But 1970 Topps Carl Yastrzemski. 1970 Topps Ernie Banks. Loved this card. Always knew who Ernie Banks was. I was a big Cubs fan when I was a kid because I loved Harry Carey and Ryne Sandberg and Wrigley Field and watching the games on WGN. I'm not so much of a Cubs fan anymore. In fact, I really can't stand them now. But did love them when I was a kid, and still love the old Cubs from the Sosa years on back. Ron Santo, another one, just a familiar face, and plucked his card out. Bill Mazeroski, I like this one. All these were in that childhood binder too at one point that I showed in the very first video that I ever did. There's Bill Mazeroski, 1970 Topps. Here's one of my favorites. Oh, I love this one. Vida Blue. Vida Blue and Gene Tennis rookie card. When I found this one, I was really excited when I was a kid. Really excited. Just love it. Here's a 1970 Yastrzemski All-Star. And a 1970 Ron Santo All-Star. I used to have a ton of the 1970 All-Stars. Sadly, they were all in that shoebox that I sold. I had the Aaron, I had the Rose, I had the Reggie. I think I might have had Johnny Bench if he was in there. I really regret parting with those. This one is pretty cool. Pitching leaders card. You got 4 Hall of Famers on there. Seaver, Niekro, Jenkins, and Marichal. I like that one. And then this is a card that I've always just really liked. This one actually sits on my fireplace mantle. I'm not even a Dodgers fan, but there's something about this 1970 Dodgers team card that I've just really always liked. I don't know. I don't know if it's the poses or what. I don't know. Just something about it. Really have always really liked that card. These were about the only 2 cards I think that I picked up on my own. This Billy Williams, 1970 Kellogg's. These were not in that shoebox. And the 1970 Ron Santo. I just love these cards. Love them so much, these old Kellogg's cards. So there's the Billy Williams and Ron Santo. Now we're getting into 71. This is one that I've always hung on to. It's from that shoe. All these are from the shoebox. Every single one of these. Pete Rose, 1971. Love that one. Yeah, all of these were from my childhood collection. Just fantastic. Bert Blyleven. Pops. Willie Stargell. Nice one. These are nice. Doc Ellis, my favorite. Now, I've got a 5,000 count vending box that still has a bunch of the 70 and 71 cards in it that were from that shoebox. And I grabbed this Doc Ellis out many years later and added this to my collection. I didn't know who Doc Ellis was when I was a kid. But so this one I plucked out of the big stack of 71s. Doc Ellis, love it. Bobby Bonds, Barry's dad. That's how I knew him, as Barry's dad. Jerry Koosman. I'm not sure how he made the cut. Ted Simmons. Knew him as the Brewers catcher when I was a kid. There's a Ted Simmons. Joe Morgan. Pretty fun. These are so great. I love these 71s. Gaylord Perry. There's a leader card. Frank Howard, Killebrew, and Yaz, home run leaders. I think these guys were hitting some serious homers here. Howard had 44, Killebrew had 41, Yaz had 40, Canigliaro, Powell. Yeah, these guys were knocking them out. Great card. Part of my Yaz PC. Here's another Yaz one, Alex Johnson. Vintage Card Curator has a really interesting video on Alex Johnson on his channel. Carl Yastrzemski and Tony Oliva. Yeah, Alex Johnson had some mental health issues that sadly shortened his career. Here's another 3 Hall of Famer card. Bob Gibson, Gaylord Perry, and Fergie Jenkins. Love that one. I had a 71 Reggie that I sold, unfortunately. Yeah, but those are about what's left. I have tons of commons of the 71s still, and I've thought of selling them, but at this point I think I'm just hanging on to them. This is one of my all-time favorite cards. 1972 Topps, Roberto Clemente. There's Roberto. Just something about this card sums up Roberto Clemente to me. There's a certain sadness in there. Momon was his nickname. I believe he was from Santurce. I don't know. There's just something about this card that speaks to me. I'd like to get a PSA version of this, and like maybe a 7. Just a beautiful card. That one I hung on to. Here's a 72 Yaz. Pretty fun. Again, part of my Yaz PC. 72 Perez, Tony Perez. Really liked Bert Blyleven for some reason when I was a kid. I think because I recognized his name, because I think he was still playing. Bert Blyleven. I like this one. 72 Frank Robinson. Pretty good looking card. Like that one. 72 Boog Powell. I love these 72s. 72 Richie Allen. There's my favorite here. And I'm going to have to go back and look through my 1970 box, that 5,000 count box, because I feel like there might be a a Rich Allen that's a very similar card to this in there. I'm surprised it wasn't in my binder, my childhood binder, because I really did like him even when I was a kid. And I'm wondering if I sold my 1970 Rich Allen in that shoebox. That's kind of what I'm leaning towards. I have no idea what was in there. I'm thinking he might have been in there, unfortunately. And he was the 1972 MVP. Just love this guy. Looking for his 65. Dave Concepcion. Again, I think just a guy I recognized. Mickey Rivers. This might give some of you Heritage retired player, Archives retired player nightmares. But I like Mickey Rivers. I kind of liken him to like a Kenny Lofton type player. Always on competitive teams, always on winning teams, lots of postseason games. Good player. Again, me and Ted Simmons, I just liked him. It's a 72 Simmons. I like this one. This is Ron Cey and Ben Ogilvy, rookie. I loved the Penguin when he was with the Cubs, but I loved Ben Ogilvy more for his years with the Brewers. This was a no-doubter, no-brainer when I plucked this out of the shoebox, just because I liked Ben Ogilvy, but Ron Cey is pretty good on there too. Bernie Williams, not sure. Wrong Bernie Williams. And then just a couple more here. Here's a 1972 Yaz in action. It's a good looking card. Topps is really, I think, these in action cards will be great. My guess is they might be short prints for next year's Heritage 2021. I don't think these cards are going to translate to the modern players, unfortunately, the 72s. I think it's just going to be weird. Because you need the sideburns. See, like even Billy Williams has sideburns. You need the sideburns. You need the mustaches. It's just I don't know. I think that the 72, the 2021 Topps Heritage, it's I don't think it's gonna translate well, because you really need the mustaches, the sideburns, afros were coming in. And there's not going to be any of that. And then the last one, these are goofy. And this will be a very interesting subset if they do this in the Heritage set next year. Boyhood Photos of the Stars. There's Willie Stargell. I'm wondering if they're going to do Mike Trout, Aaron Judge, probably Chris Bryant, maybe Nolan Arenado. Could be really interesting. Mookie Betts, maybe. Bryce Harper. Be really kind of fun if they do this subset. So there you have it, folks. And then I just had these kind of goofy little starting lineup guys that I thought would keep me company. I got these at a thrift store. There was like a big box of them, and just plucked out some ones that I liked. Kerry Wood, Junior Seau, Favre, Don Drysdale, Fred Biletnikoff. That Biletnikoff's great. Roberto Clemente, and of course Deacon Jones. They all sit on my office shelf. But thanks so much for watching, everybody. Just wanted to kind of walk down memory lane and show you some of my childhood collection today. And this is Kev Bo Jones with the Wonderful World of Baseball Cards. Keep collecting what you love, and I'll see you soon.